Hello and a warm welcome back to the DollarClub with me, Jimbo. As always, we're going to be discussing Let's MFL updates, transfers, developments, and so much more has gone on over the last week or so. One important note before we kick off this episode: none of what we chat about is financial advice. You do your own scouting or hire a director of metaverse football. Joining me for their first times in the MFL, or the MFL studio, the Dirk studio, are two great managers. First of all, coming all the way from Wales digitally into the studio. Some of you will have seen him on Meet the Manager back with Ryan Walter back in November last year. It's a long time ago now. What's that, 6-7 months ago now? It is Paul, aka the DollarClub. How are you, sir?
I'm doing really well, thank you. It's nice to finally be on the Rendercast.
Yeah, great to have you on. Great to have you on. And then partnering Paul for his first time on the pod. If you're ever come into the streams or the Wendirk Discord, this man's always there. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple of weeks ago in the London meetup, Mr. Nathanmar. How are you, mate?
Doing very good. I can safely say this is the second most stressful thing I've done today after United trying to give me hair stack. So I'm ready.
That game ended 3-2, right? 3-2 United?
Yeah, thought it would have been 3-0 after 30 minutes.
I
Then it could have been 2-4 after 55 minutes. So standard United viewing.
I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, but it seems like it was a very good game. I felt like if there was any game to watch this week, it was the PSG Bayern game on Tuesday, and I feel sorry for those who didn't actually get to watch that live because it was an unbelievable game of football. Paul, you're nodding your head there. You watched it as well?
Yeah, I think it's spoiled football for me now. It was such a good game. I can't.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a long time before we see a game better than that. It was out of this world.
Well, you say that it could be Wednesday. On Wednesday, we could get a similar. I think we might do as well. Early Bayern goal. We think we could. We know exactly, Nathan. We could run it back. So
you can see it going all the way.
But I've got both. I've got Paul and Nathan on today's episode. We're going to do a little bit of a manager spotlight with the pair of them, how they got into MFL, how they play, how they operate with their agencies. Obviously, Paul, you document yours online, and you've spoken on Meet the Manager about how you do yours. So maybe I've got a few notes that I took down from when I re-listened to it recently, just to see if those sort of philosophies and structures are still in place today. And then Nathan, opportunity for you to talk about your agency. Obviously, you've been a big part of the Wendirk MFC club over the last 2 seasons. Yeah, you've stayed on for the second season now. So I'm really interested to just get your take on that and how that's been. Don't worry, this isn't like the board going to grill part of their staff. Anything you say here, you can say with full confidence and trust that you will still be operating as manager until the end of the season. Don't you worry.
That's what you're saying now, anyways.
After the episode, permissions just revoked straight away. And then we've got some community questions, and I want to ask the two gents about some hot topics. But before we do that, just a little bit of housekeeping from me. Apologies for last episode missing the intros and outros. I think that got a few people off guard, and
it was quite weird.
Literally a matter of me not because basically usually my check is that I check it when editing. And then when it's sort of done, I'll then like skip halfway through to make sure everything, sort of all the borders and all the editing is right. Because I always know that the intro and outro is fine, and it's literally a matter of me double clicking, not triple clicking in Sony Vegas to capture all the timelines. It's not captured the top and bottom. So apologies for that. Hopefully this week it's back, and you will know by this point if it's back or not.
Was last week's episode the one where you had a telephone call off your nan?
Yes, this is the second point I want to get to as well. So I was so confident that I removed that. Maybe not the whole part, but just the part when the actual call happens, where Taggart and Bruce are like commenting about it. Oh, is it bad? Is it good? And And then I was like, hang on, why is everyone talking about my nan in the Discord? How has this managed to get through to the episode sort of final cut? And I went back to my editing, Sony Vegas, and I went, right, it happened at about the 40th minute. I looked at the timeline and I genuinely cannot find it in the timeline. So I don't know how it's managed to get in there, but it got a good reaction. So
Yeah,
thanks to all those who love the, when Dirk Nan. Yeah, she literally just rang up and was saying she was thinking of me and all this sort of stuff and my partner. No, it was really lovely, but I didn't expect it.
wholesome
And like I
moment
said
of
on
the
there,
week.
for her to call me for her to call me at 8 p.m. on a Sunday. Last time, something happened at 8 p.m. on a Sunday, it was my own shit going through the bottom of my house. So I wasn't quite confident when that happened. And then the other thing is just sort of kind of related to that. They have, the last week, 10 days, it's sort of been a bit of a lack of streams on my part. That'll ramp up again over the next couple of weeks. We are now in the final stages getting back into the house and living in there. So it's all the decorating. It's kind of not really been an environment particularly want to do a lot of things in and trying to stay out of with all the fumes and everything from decorating and being an absolute mess. But end of this week, which is like what, end of the week commencing May the 4th, we should be back in there. Anyway, right, back to MFL. We've had the boring housekeeping, back to MFL. Paul, I introed you first, so I would like to start with you. How has season 13 been for you, and has there been any particular highlight this week? Ooh.
Season 13 has been mixed. I think that obviously with my agency it's a bit tricky because I've got so many underpowered squads that I generally lose a lot of matches.
Mm.
However, my main team started quite strong in their Spark League, and I was second for a while. And I've just, after the transfer window, I think people strengthened and I've dropped off slightly. So I think my team's fourth, and we still got a chance of maybe finishing in the top three.
Yeah.
But I'm not too bothered. I think
Yeah.
next season is going to be the big change, which I'm sure we'll probably cover later. But I've got plans.
Yeah, you've got some big changes coming to your agency for next season.
Just trying to mix it up a little.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we'll get onto them later, but I think you're in a position now, which you said that you can kind of make this kind of change, still keeping your current philosophy. Still keeping your current philosophy, but also expanding and sort of changing how you currently play. I would ask Nathan how his week has been, or season 13 has been, but he will join back in a second. For those listening on audio, you do not care, but for those watching visually, yes, you do care because Nathan's gone. Is any highlight this week then? So it's been a mixed bag for the whole season. Any highlight this week?
I think that there's been a lot going on in outside of MFL in the house, and I've been a little bit lax, and I did mess up my rotations for the cup, which I normally really rely on.
Yeah.
Whereas last season I won two Aspirants Cups and I got through to a couple of finals and latter stages. This season was awful, and quite a few of my teams missed out where they probably would have gone through. So I think I lost in 2 quarters, which that was a little bit disappointing. I don't know. Like I said, it's been a bit mixed, and I've really feel the need to change things a bit because it's getting a little bit. The project is still going fine. It's a massive success, but actually the actual engagement with MFL is getting a little bit still. So it's definitely time to change things up a little.
Yeah. Do you know what? Whilst waiting for Nathan to come back, Paul, sum up what is your strategy for playing MFL? Like you called the DollarClub. People might be able to guess, but who are you? What do you do?
So, just in regards to, first of all, my introduction to MFL. So I started playing in season 1 traditionally, and I was really enjoying it, and I was playing it like I was trying to compete. And then I think it got expensive for my tastes. So I ended up selling up completely, but I sold during the boom, so I made a decent amount of money back.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then when I decided to rejoin, I just thought I want to do something a little bit different. I wonder if you could run it like a business with the aim of being putting an investment in and then kind of not so much making money because the amount of money's it's not massive, is it? But just trying to be self-sufficient. So what I did is I started buying $1 players with the aim of progressing them or just straight flipping them. I did that. So I think this is my 6th season. So I started just flipping players. So I was literally flipping players for 50 cents or $1. They'd come in the agency and they'd leave if I could do it. And then obviously the point being I'm tracking everything on a spreadsheet, and I can just keep adding the 50 cents here and the dollar there, and then use that money to buy another dollar player, and then just keep trying to flip them and doing it that way. So then, I was doing that for a while, and the agency grew to, I think I had 21 clubs at one point.
Wow, because when you on Meet the Manager with Nathan with Ryan, November the 25th, 2025, you had 8 clubs then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went from 8 to 12. Really, I think I think in that interview I said I've got 8 and I'll stick at 8.
Yeah,
And
it
then
did.
and then I think I went to 12, and I was on with Amrezy, and I think Amrezy asked me, and I said I've got 12, and I'm definitely going to stick at 12.
Yeah.
Anyway, I ended up going up to about 21. But I was at the point where I had more clubs than I had players to fill them.
Yeah.
So I ended up just having loads of clubs just filled with 0% loans. But that just felt like farming. It didn't feel like I was farming MFL with a lot of the clubs and not actually doing the dollar project.
Yeah.
So I've scaled that back down now to 12 clubs. And I've got enough players in my agency to more or less fill the 12 clubs. So I am focusing just on the dollar project now.
Yeah.
But with a slight caveat for next season.
Yeah.
Which is my main club, the DollarClub, are now going to be run, not separately, but they're going to be run off 30% of each season's profit. So they will be allowed to shop around in the transfer market and just try and compete a little bit more. So it's not huge. It's not huge money, but it does allow me to finally look at players who are like $2.
Yeah, because there's some unreal value out there. Yeah, you can now
100%
double
increase.
you can double your transfer budget.
So I do. So at the moment, even with the DollarClub project, I bring in a lot of really good youngsters, and most of the players I bring in for $1, they're listed for $3 or $2, or I still try and bring in bargains. I don't sign millions of players just because they're $1. I have got a set criteria. I think power creep is coming in now, so I think my criteria has been shattered because there's just not as many players coming through for me to buy. So I have started buying some slightly older players, and I've started buying some old uncommons ready for next season to put into the dollar.
Don't blame you.
But again, I've only been spending $1. I've put a hard and fast rule with the dollar situation, which is why I suppose the agencies remain profitable.
Yeah,
because I can't spend the money. I can't.
No,
I can't
exactly.
It's great to find the players for the high limiteds and low uncommons for $1 at the minute, though. Because I remember when I started, there was dollar players didn't exist at the time, so it's great in the current stage that you can.
I'll give you a good example actually. So when I started the DollarClub, like I said, I think it was 6 seasons ago or something like that. The players I was bringing in for $1 were mid-40s OVR, and I was really happy with them. And then over the last couple of seasons, I was able to start bringing in players who were in 50, 52, 53. And it got to a point last season or the season before last where I was able to bring in players who were 23 and they were 55 or 56. And I've hung on to most of those players. So my agency is now full of older players who are early 60s. So the agency has got stronger, and I think that's why my main team has started competing, because they get the pick of the agency players. But at the moment, I've got something set up basically where if a player that matches my criteria gets listed, I get an email straight away saying this player's on the market, and I normally get 2 or 3 or 4 a day, and I think I've had 1 all week. So just to give you an idea, there's definitely some kind of power creep going on. And that's why I've decided to, use 30% of the profit for the main club, because otherwise I'm just going to finish bottom of the league every season again, which seems pointless when the player agency is making, a decent amount of money each season.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've got some questions about that, but I want to ask them later on. If you had to quickly rate out of 10 this week on MFL, what would you give it?
4.
4. Only 4.
Ooh, that's a.
Second most, is it?
Yeah, I think it might be Nathan. When you hear mine later, I might be joining Paul down there. Nathan, good to have you back.
Yeah, I had to briefly step out there.
No, that's all right.
Not
That's no problem at
voluntarily.
all. How's season 13 been for you, and how's this week been for you in MFL?
It's been going well. Season 13 itself has been. It started off and it has continued to go very well. But my teams that I've had a few teams that have been at the top of their leagues that have just kind of fallen off, maybe 3 points, 5 points. That's why I thought I was going to be having maybe 4, 5 different trophies like Flint, Spark. They've kind of maybe just dipped off the tiniest bit, but I wouldn't have expected nearly all. I have I manage 13. I think I own 10 clubs. I wouldn't have expected 8 or 9 of those to be in promotion races.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very exciting for the most part to watch those games. But overall, good week. Could still get a Galway team promotion for the first time. I've kind of bottled it loosely. Never really got close to chasing titles or anything. But I threw away a playoff place last season. I thought I should have won it. So hopefully I'll get a Galway team up this season to ice, and I can keep them, making them a main team eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, Galway is
I'm from the West of Ireland and Galway. Yeah.
Yeah, and Paul, your main DollarClub is your Cardiff license, correct?
Yeah, so I'm from the Rhondda Valleys, and that's predominantly a Cardiff City area. So yeah, I've been Cardiff all my life.
There we go. No, I love
the one license I'll never get rid of.
No, exactly. It's like the same with me with my Norwich ones. I've got a couple. Well, I've got 3 now, but I'll never get rid of any of them really. But the Wyverns one I'll never get rid of. Like they're just you get. I'm glad that all 3 of us here have a club which is our location, which we feel extremely attached to.
I feel like it's hard to get rid of most of them after having them for many periods of time, especially the ones I've packed. Feels hard to justify. Like I've always thought, maybe eventually downsize, push up higher. It's like, but they're mine. I don't want to sell them.
Well, I've got, obviously, my agency, every single license is a Welsh license, which has taken me ages to find 12. And there's another limitation I've now put on myself to stop me putting more money in my dabber. So I'm only buying Welsh clubs, so luckily they never ever listed. So.
Well, until whatever new system or new pyramid or tier comes in, and there's just a flood of new Irish and Welsh and Welsh, and we'll get a bit carried away.
Yeah, some small Welsh hamlet which now has 10 more licenses or something because of how they do it. It's crazy, isn't it?
I don't know how they come up with the towns, because some of the ones local to me are just like industrial estates. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, some of the Irish ones are similar. Some of them are small enough towns that you wouldn't have expected, and like there's 1 or 2 counties that don't have any license. Like Donegal doesn't have a single license, I believe.
But the Welsh licenses I've got, they're just small towns, and like some of them are 2 miles apart. I've got the nearest one to me is Tonopandi, and Tonopandi is literally a mile up the road. And then the next nearest one is a place called Llantrysent, and that's 2 miles away. That's just the other direction. So I tried to do Niris puts these maps out of his Irish teams.
Yeah, they're great.
I tried doing it with my Welsh clubs, and they're all about 10 miles apart.
Zoom in too much.
Yeah. Nathan, actually before I ask you to rate your week out of 10, I'd also want to say that I apologize for having to put you on the same managerial position as SUFC Blades for this season. I know that must have been an experience and a half. But
it's all right.
I'm joking.
I've survived. It amounted, I won't go into too much in detail, but it amounted to simply at the start, what are we playing? Him going 4-2-4 and us going, okay, we'll see if we can get it working.
It was just adding him into the Discord channel. It's like, all right, lads, are we playing 4-2-4?
It feels like you know the answer to the question before you asked it.
Yep. No, it's been great to see all you guys chat and manage a team between yourselves, which I'll ask you more about later. How was how's your week
rating?
Rating out of 10. There we go. Thank you.
I will go with a good old standard 6. If some of my teams had maintained top spot, I might have gone 7. If they'd fallen off a bit harder, I would have been super critical on 5th. But I should have mentioned I'm managing Rory's Guinness. I have him in the cup final. So I feel like that's worth as much as I'm going to make from most of my other clubs. So I'm
Yeah.
just good old standard 6.
Yeah, no, congrats on making it to a cup final. I can happily say that none of my clubs are in a cup final.
You made this bronze thing sound very hard for 12 seasons. I've been having a fun time so far. But I guess
uh,
we'll.
but before I say my one, MFL Crazy got in touch and he was like, I've had some answers prepped and everything. How was your week out of 10? He says 0. So he just wants to chime in there. So is it 0 out of 10 week? Mine's probably been about a 4 as well, to be honest. I know I'll go different. I'll say a 5. So we have 4, 5, 6. We've got a nice sort of what do you call that in poker? Oh my god, here we go.
A run.
That's it, a run. There we go. Or do you need a 4th number for that, or is it 3's fine?
3 will do.
Yeah, 4's even better. No, I've not played poker for so long. But yeah, it's like this week. I think I've been knocked out of a couple of quarterfinals. I think I had a semi-final. Got knocked out with the Whelps. BFC Barca, they're 4th. They're 2 points off 2nd. It's kind of I've drawn the last 3 games 0-0, 1-0, 0-0.
Do you play any of the guys above you? So is it in your hands?
No, so all the teams I play, I'm 4th, and currently I'll play 6th, then 5th, and then I play 12th. So it's kind of in my hands. I don't hope that I'm not going to say anything actually. I don't want to jinx myself at all. And the fact that I've drawn 3 games in a row and 2 of them are 0-0s, they were the matches where it wasn't. It wasn't amazing goalkeeper performances.
Did anything happen at least in the match?
No, it's just like the games kick off at 9:55, and it feels like by 9:57 they're already done. Even with 7 minutes of extra time in the first half, they're already done within 2 or 3 minutes. So I hate myself for it because they're such boring games to watch. But I watch them because there's a platinum team playing, and I want to get promoted to diamond, so I have to watch them. I want to watch them, but they've been absolutely dire to watch. And I apologize for all that I play against as well, because it's like playing with a 5 at the back, but it's not a 5 at the back for obvious reasons. I'm not going to play.
Don't knock it till you try it.
No. I'll continue knocking it because I'll never try it. The Wyverns is currently sat 6th. We did lose 5-1 to Blades. Not quite 7-0. I guess on aggregate that's 8-5 to me. So I'll take that across the season, across 2 games, 8-5 to the Verns. We've lost our last 3 games. Literally, all of my teams have been last 3 games have just been pants.
Good old season changes.
This happened a bit last season. And maybe back in the last season, I was a couple inches deep in my poo downstairs. So back in the season was a bit of a nightmare. But actually, one thing I found is that this might just be me. This may sound like an excuse. I don't know. But I've been away from my computer a lot, so I've been having to do a lot of things like testing and stuff on my phone. And I can do all the Linux rotation on my phone, but actually, I think I've missed not having a dual screen setup to run tactics and test and just have the extensive screen space.
It's not
to
fun
play
testing
MFL on
your phone.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do either of you do you both use desktop for your main?
I do both. I use my laptop most of the time when I'm at home, but if I'm at work, I'll be on my phone. I'll generally at work just run friendlies. I won't if it's pre-season, but I'm not going to really do tactical changes and stuff on my phone. Just it doesn't feel like I remember it as much.
Feels a bit cheap, doesn't it? Just do it on your phone quick. It doesn't feel right. It's like a takeaway. Just get it on your phone or something. It just doesn't feel right.
Might just test my formation against your friendlies and go rematch, and
the same. Paul, are you the same? You got a nice office chair there. Do you feel like you definitely play MFL on the desktop?
I kind of work from home, so it's quite easy for me to just use the desktop. I've got a nice big screen in front of me. I tend to use my phone a lot more for Discord and for socials.
Yeah.
But yeah, nearly everything on MFL is done on my laptop, on my PC.
Yeah.
It's just quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's easier to swap teams as well, swap your players around.
But yeah, everything fits on the screen, which is a bonus, especially when you're looking at tactics.
Yeah, if you're trying to set an individual instruction for your player on your phone, you're trying to tap the little yellow button, and it's like, no, I don't want to swap the player. I don't want to click on his player card. I just want to change him to low freedom or something like that. You're trying to figure out, and then you just zoom in a bit to make the button bigger, and you're like, wow, really? Have I got to this point where I'm having to make that slightly bigger? But yeah, I'll give myself a 5. A 5 is what I'm going to give myself. So in total, we've got ourselves 15 out of 30.
Pretty standard.
50%. I think that's pretty, especially when there's more of us. You might expect more of us to. But maybe season 13 is just not our season, and we can blame the fact it's number 13.
I'm an exception because I think I did a tweet the other day and I showed that I think I had 11 losses and 1 draw the 1 game night. So, yeah.
Might have to up mine if Guinness be top of the league tonight and just like cement that second place. Might have to up mine.
Yeah, of course, there are league games today. So when we speak about Diamond in a bit, which is very, very hotly contested right now, it could all be irrelevant in the next 24 hours, which is unfortunate. So, but that's the way these go. So, thank you. Let's go to the dev updates. A bit more than the previous week, and a bit more than the previous week before that. But during the week, there was the experimental engine. I have not tested the experimental engine one bit. Have either of you two gents?
No.
I haven't tested the current engine.
So yeah, we won't touch on any
Just
of
trying
that.
to survive this season at the minute.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's focus, particularly when this comes out, is actually on testing. It's not on testing. It's getting your clubs across the line for the end of the current season, let alone looking at next season's experimental engine. But the dev update, obviously, there's about the experimental engine being released. New UI. We're entering the final stretch of the massive UI overhaul. Most of the work is now complete. Everything should be wrapped up by next week. Sounds very promising. Next week, predictions of season 14 seem. That's a good phrase to hear.
Roll over, they just pressing the button.
It could be. I feel like season 14 is a nice place to put it on. It says wrapped up by next week, and the week after that is rollover day. And then World Cup event preparation for the World Cup event has officially begun. Fire emoji, and then a nice sort of another teaser of the new UI. I'm guessing that's the main search bar they're using to just type in Dirk, big old Dirk Klassen. Future Wendirk MFC player, by the way, in season 15. I hate to be someone playing against that team in the first match day of that season. But yeah, it looks like you'll be able to type for players, I'm guessing clubs, agencies, just a Google search bar for all MFL, which is very responsive. So I think we need that, really, don't we?
It'd be very handy.
I'm so excited for the UI update.
Yeah.
I really am. I think as good as it is at the moment, there's definitely some improvements that could be made.
Are there any things that either of you are like hoping to see in there, or even if they're not in there straight away, would like to see, sort of, down the road? Because I know obviously they're focusing on the UI, and then the features are kind of new features to MFL are kind of halted, but once the UI is out, then they come back onto those again.
I would like, for myself, a better use of short lists, maybe for scouting. I know you've got your watch list.
If you could make a few of them, yeah.
I want to create separate lists for different players. With myself, with the DollarClub, I do bid on quite a lot of players, and there's so many players I can't keep track. And the one thing I'm conscious of is that the following day I might do another dollar bid on a player which has already been rejected. So I don't know if there was any way of, if there was a way of seeing a history of if you've bid on a player before. Because I don't.
Yeah, it does seem to disappear from the inbox fairly quick, especially if you've got a good few coming in.
Yeah, like I said, because I do bid on a lot of players. It's not like I've got 5 targets and I may bid on 50 players and I've got no way of keeping track who it is. So I do apologise sometimes on X, and I say, excuse me if I.
A little notes thing for players will be handy. I believe they have it in Football Manager. You can just you can create a note.
Yeah, something like that would be ideal. But I saw the screenshot they put out of the new UI, and it does look good. It does look like it's got a couple of extra features. That search bar is going to be so much better.
Yeah, it'll make things quick. Even if we're searching for users or for clubs, rather than to go to the leaderboard and type something in there, you can just go.
It'll look crazy in hindsight that we survived so long without it.
Yeah, thinking about it, how have we never had a search bar, an all-encompassing search bar? Is is beyond belief. But maybe that's credit to all of us for getting there.
Yeah, but we're quite lucky because this website's like MFL Assistant and loads of others, and I tend to search on those and then click on the Go to MFL button. It is the quickest way of doing
it.
Yeah. Any other comments on the dev updates? World Cup event? the preparations for that have started. World Cup is, it's what, 5 weeks away now, 5-6 weeks,
Yeah, I
a
think it's
season away,
it's less
basically.
than
Let's say a
50
season
days.
away. Let's talk an MFL here. It's a season away. Are you guys hyped for? I guess hyped for the World Cup, but are you more hyped for the World Cup on MFL?
I was a lot more excited until we got knocked out in the qualifiers.
Understandably so, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've got my teams. I've got the teams I'm going to follow, so I'm quite happy.
Who are those teams, Paul? Go on. Who are those
Whoever
teams?
beats England.
Scotland and whoever's playing England.
Why did I
Okay.
ask? I just knew the
And
answers
Ireland,
already.
obviously.
Cheers. Nathan, what about you?
Yeah, I was so ready to take out a big loan, spend all my money, and get over to America. Then Ireland just took me down and stomped me all over. It was such brutal fashion. But I'll just be trying to enjoy it. Hopefully France lose and England lose, and other than that, I'm open to whoever winning it.
What happens when England, if England play France, who do you support then?
France.
No, I just be annoyed at both sides winning.
You just hope that somehow
I sit there and why does this always happen to me?
that both
Jimbo.
teams leave the pitch, because then I think there's a rule now that if a team leaves the pitch, they automatically forfeit 3-0. If both teams just leave the pitch, they both lose 3-0. What happens then?
France aren't in your group though, Jimbo, are they?
No. But I'm just saying
So
the inevitable final of England France is what I'm saying at the end of July. Who are you going to support then?
It should be good though. It should be very exciting. It'll be hard to catch some of the matches. I didn't realize some were 5 a.m. kickoffs or 6 a.m. kickoffs here, but might have to offset the working day by a few hours to catch some of the later kickoffs.
Yeah, there are some early kickoffs. Either of you got any hopes, or for what you'd like to see from an MFL perspective for the World Cup? Paul, I know you said you were before your DollarClub. Let's call it philosophy. Were you? How long have you been playing before then? Sorry.
I think I started in season 1 was my first full season.
Okay, yeah.
So I wasn't here for the last.
Yeah, the Euros. That was basically what I was going to get
Euros,
at. Yeah,
I missed the Euros as well.
Yeah,
I've heard all about it, obviously.
Yep, and that England match.
Yeah, I've heard about the England game.
Good days.
Yeah.
Bastards, a pair of you. Nathan, you weren't around for the Euros either, were you?
No. I started end of season 4, so season 5 was my first season.
Yeah,
actually playing the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see like another Euro sort of concept, but just expand out so more people can get involved. I think there was a thing with the Euros where you got the managers who were sort of elected and voted in. You had the people had their players towards it, but then once those were running, it was just the manager managing.
It'd be fun to
the
have
nation.
the same thing as the Euros, but with maybe like a Holiday Heroes event.
Yeah,
so that everyone else could be involved in like their own little,
some sort of alliance thing.
Team tournaments.
Yeah, leverage one of the best pillars of this game, which is the community. And we saw in the Goal Rush event and we've had previous alliance events, particularly Goal Rush was was great. And I think we all loved that. It was a bit of fun, but everyone was so competitive.
Yeah, there's not much sleep.
Unfortunately, the French still won, so it's a bitter moment at the final hurdle.
Wasn't the England team the strongest team though? That's what he was saying.
No, it wasn't the strongest.
Going to roll it back there for a second.
Germany were the strongest team on paper, and they did actually eventually win it.
You were much stronger than Serbia, if I recall.
Yes, I was much stronger than Serbia, but Blades got to feel how I felt conceding 7 goals when all the stats are in your favour.
The cycle of abuse continues.
Yeah. And I would love to have a little redemption arc, but I feel like I don't think that arc will ever be a redemption one. I think it will just, maybe it's a plateau now. We don't know.
You wouldn't answer the call if the England manager job.
I mean, if I get the call, I'm going to pick it up and accept it. Whether or not the fans like the performance they're going to see is a different question.
I'll vote for you, Jimbo.
I know. I appreciate that. I get the Welsh vote. No, that I think that's more votes any other English managers had from the Welsh.
I'll vote for you for the right.
Whatever increases the chances of England losing.
You find out that Wales in the same group, well, they can't be. But you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to vote for him because no."
Well, last time you were in the same group, we went through and you got knocked out, didn't we? In there.
Yeah. Okay.
My memory's not the best.
Okay. Right. Enough of this before I get hassled even more. Let's come to the Diamond League, because actually it's going to be quite a juicy end to Diamonds. I'm going to share my screen so you gents can see this. As it stands, we have a new first spot.
That is some form by Los Galacticos.
Yeah, I think when we had Bruce on, I joked about him losing 2-0 to La Furia Espanola, and I think then he took it really personally, because I think he's won every single game since, basically, which is from Sunday. Well, over a week he's won every single game near enough.
Very impressive.
And he's gone from being 3 points to potential playoff relegation to now being on goal difference, top of the league. So we've got Los Galacticos first, Meta second, Michele Milano third, Amsterdam Lions fourth, and then we go to the bottom four. The Terriers, AC Lyon, Ramble Amigos, the bottom three, and then 2 points above 10th. In ninth spot is Yoga Benito, London. Paul, a lot of these players cost more than $1. There's probably one season's worth of rewards here for one player. Would be quite a bit. Do you pay attention to Diamond? Do you follow it loosely and anything like that? Maybe just in listening to this.
Only when I watch your streams and other streams where they feature it. I don't. It's not something I look at. Yeah, I have had a look this season. It's been crazy. That form at the moment with Los Galacticos is just unbelievable. When you look at
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's like he's found the winning formula there, hasn't he?
Yeah. I'm buzzing for Bruce.
And he plays Amsterdam Lions next, and they're on 4 wins as well.
So he's got Amsterdam Lions next, and then the second to last match day 21, he has Meta. So that could be sort of, your Man City Arsenal, which happened a couple of weeks ago. I'm not saying that, we've got a couple of games to go as yet in the Prem, and on the last match day, they play Ramble Amigos, which could be one which relegates Ramble Amigos, which would be quite good. And Meta plays Michele Milano, so Meta's got some tough games, and so is Los Galacticos. So I think my prediction, the very start of this, gone, Paul. Did you say it was so close? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's so close there. It could go anywhere.
Nearly as tight as the Wendurk League.
Yeah, no, it's crazy close. I mean, even AC Lyon, Duff's team on 20 points, they have to just win a game and other results go their way. They can jump from 11th to 9th. Anyone sort of 10th, 9th and above, a win chucks them around. We sort of got that break between 6th and 7th. There's a 5-point gap there between Tango and La Furia. Big Wilbur sort of pulled out the bag a bit recently, 10 points out of a possible 15, recently. But yeah, it's going to be I think it'll be a crazy final match day is what I'm what I'm hoping for. So, and actually that's what I actually want to make the hashtag final day drama. Are we going to see some hashtag final day drama in Diamond? Get it all over the socials. Get it just in the Wendurk Discord. Just put hashtag final day drama to prove that you've been listening. Only 38 minutes in, I revealed that hashtag not 2 hours in. So you've got no excuses now, folks. Hashtag final day drama. Mid-season, it looked like Meta was still going to cruise it slightly. I believe my prediction beginning of the season was Sid. Is my prediction right? If I say it was Sid, is it Sid or Sid's team? Maybe I'll have to go back and say my prediction. Was it Los Galacticos or was it Sid? Maybe next season.
I don't think Bruce would accept it. He's a man for technicalities, is he not?
No, exactly. Maybe next season when we do our predictions, we have to say the club, not the manager, because there's so many managerial changes. It's so hard to keep track of them these days. Like I said last week, we've had more managerial changes than direct free kicks. And I'm pretty sure that is still the case across the whole pyramid. But a quick one from either of you, from both of you. Who do you think is going to win Diamond?
I'm going to go Meta.
It's a toss-up in here between Los Galacticos and Amsterdam Lions, I think.
Oh, okay. So Nathan's gone Meta, and you think it's second or
Meta's form. Something's not quite right there, is there? I don't know who they played, but the top team.
But the Los Galacticos have 2 at least very hard games, and so that I think it's
going to be close. It's going to be so close. Whatever happens, it's going to be exciting.
It could be sealed. not well,
Tomorrow
with
was
one
it?
game left, with on, but yeah, by the end of tomorrow. So obviously now, this time when people listen, if you're listening right before the penultimate match day of Diamond, you will, this standing will be correct. But maybe in over 24 hours time, 30 hours time, this could have changed. So it's going to be, it could be absolute hashtag final day drama. Sorry, just to get it in there one more time. Right, let's move on to this week's Splash of the Week. And I believe it's the same bad as last week. It's Dio coming in again with another Splash of the Week. Cyril Khan, who I believe I actually had the displeasure of playing against and ruining me in the league this season with my Wensom.
That man's still in stone.
Yeah, so it's a bit crazy. Sorry, let me talk about the price. So this is an 87 rated 26-year-old striker bought for $450 on the 27th of April. At that point, he was a 86 rated player, so he's gone up +1 since then. He was minted as a 22-year-old at 60, and now he's 87. He's got 27 overalls in the space of 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 seasons. And, as Nathan said, is that man still in
One club
stone?
man. Very impressive.
He's played for one club with a background. Is that, the secret
all you
to
need
having
for progression?
Yeah, it's either be French or have a background. But he's played no higher than stone. And I mean, even when he was 83 rated, he was still he was an ice 83 rated, and they got promoted, I'm guessing. But this guy's crazy. He's played 21 games, scored 32 goals. His last 2 seasons match ratings have been
51 goals in ice
8.4 and
last
8.
season. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
One assist though. One absolute, that's like
Selfish.
Cristiano Ronaldo, just never assists. Just all he does is score goals, goals, goals. Bit greedy, if you ask me. Not a team player. Would never see him in my team.
Same complaining guys don't pass from.
But yeah, he's still in stone, and basically if Dio comes knocking, you've got a decent progressive player. I've never had a knock from Dio. Have either of you had players which Dio's come knocking for?
He was into me. Not into me. He was in at me. Last season, I got a guy mid-season pack drop. I mentioned him a few times. He was an American striker. He went +9 from mid-season to maybe 2 or 3 games before the end of the season, and he came in. He was knocking on my Metaverse door within 5 days. He must have seen the +4 and was like, "I want him."
Yeah. Did you say you sold him to him?
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt it was like $100 for, at the time, I think he was a 73. So I feel he was 26-year-old. So I felt he was very happy with the price. He's one of those strikers with high finishing and not much else. So I feel like even if he does go another +7 or 8 to high 80s, I feel like I've had a solid deal for the short period in which I had him.
Have you ever gone and checked back on the player at all?
Oh, I check him every morning. I have a watch list of guys I've packed and I've sold, and some guys that I've missed out on that I keep an eye on every morning.
Torture. That sounds like absolute torture.
Yeah, because I had that Fowler was not my first guy to sell. That was a progressor. I had a Grandjean, French striker, 52 packed the 52 rated striker, went plus, I think 6. I sold him for $11 when he was high 50s. That was like season 7. He went, I think, 87 this season.
Oh no.
So I look at him every morning and I say, I hate you and I will never do it again.
I bet roll of a day you're like, how old is he?
Oh, yes. He can throw it up any day.
Okay,
and I will
you used to
laugh in his face.
Retire. Yeah.
I will look at him and say, you deserve this, you punk.
Paul, when I said that's torture to Nathan, you almost reacted like you disagreed with me there.
No. I completely agree. That's torture.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah, sorry. When obviously with the DollarClub, I sell all my best progressing players really, really early on, and I've learned. I used to keep a watch list of every player so I could see how they did, and I learned.
Most guys I've sold are freshly packed, and none of them have gone as much. So, only one guy has hurt me.
Paul,
They
what?
work both
Yeah,
ways, though.
God.
I've sold some players which were progressing well, and then they didn't progress another single attribute after I sold them, and
Well,
people
that's a
had
good
paid
feeling,
decent
though.
money for
Those
them.
one feels
So it
very
just went
good.
both ways.
Yeah, that's the feeling you want. I realised I've not actually read out the stats for this player. That would help. Usually I read out the stats, and for those who aren't watching, Jimbo, read out the stats. Here we go. 87 overall, 97 pace. No, he's a speed demon.
It's a
88
menace.
shooting, which is actually really great because he's got a lot more room to grow because his shooting stats not maxed. It's not maxed, not 95 plus. 69 passing, dribbling 87, defense 44, and physical 94. Now, that pace and physical with a slightly, lowish shooting relative to other players potentially of that overall in position is a really nice combination, I think.
Very nice.
And potentially one of the big reasons why he's progressing so much is that he has got a lot of room to grow
Yeah, I had a
in his
similar striker
shooting.
in bronze for the first half this season, and he was a menace. So he had less pace than that, and I think a bit less shooting. So
Yeah,
Cyril Khan should be a menace up to, I'd say, at least silver, maybe gold.
this team beat the Worms 4-0 and he just put two past me, like it was a training session, basically. So Nico 6, congrats on being $450 richer, or a little bit less because of the old dapper tax. And Dio, congrats on a player you've bought is already progressing and doing well. Paul, I asked Nathan the question: Is Dio ever come knocking on your agency door before?
No, not yet. I think I've got one player this season who went +4, but he's so lowly rated. He's like, I don't even know what he is. He's like 48 or something. He's terrible.
It's quite an honour when he comes knocking.
Yeah, I think a lot of with the Dollar Club, a lot of the players were just really low anyway to start with. Yeah, I do. Like I said, I do sell them. Well, I was selling them pretty quick. As soon as somebody came in and made a decent offer, if I could double or triple my money, I'd sell the player. And I'd buy a player for $1, sell him for I don't know $7-8, and then buy 8 new players.
Well, yeah, in your position, that's a very sensible thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
That, if you don't do that, and then I don't know, things happen, and you're like, oh, why would I? Why would if you looked at NFA, not financial advice, but if anything ever goes up 7-8x, you there go, probably a decent time.
So hard to know when it's just like their first season. Just if you can't tell whether it'll stop or.
Yeah, I've got a few people who say sort of like, oh, can you value this guy? I said, I would love, I can kind of value him, but I would get a much better picture next season. But that's they could forever have that kicking the can down the road, just waiting and waiting and waiting to the next season. And at that point, you've sort of maybe lost the most value in that player if you don't.
I think it averages out though, really, because like I said, I've sold a lot of most of my players are selling young. I've sold a lot of young players. People pay good money for them anyway because they want to gamble on them. And some of them don't progress. So if I sell a handful of players for $7, $8, $9, $10 each, and only one of them really progresses anything decent, then I've probably still made my money.
Yeah. No, exactly. Right, I'm gonna move on to the manager spotlights and a little bit more of the question, but we do actually have some community questions first, which I want to chime in first. Thank you to all of you who have sent in these. This one is purely directed at me, but I will actually offer it up to you two as well. It says, "Do you listen to Ed Sheeran?" Two parts of this. I, did used to like Ed Sheeran's music until he became a part owner of Ipswich, and then every time I listen to his music, I think of Ipswich. Therefore, I don't listen to it anymore. There's the quick answer. But yeah, before he's into it, before he could be a fan of it, before he's a part investor or owner, whatever. No, he just sponsors them, I think, doesn't he? He's not an investor.
He has the shirt sponsor too, does he?
Yes, yeah, just sponsor. I want to say owner, yeah, part owner, just a sponsor. I quite like it. I think it's decent music. Unfortunately, not so great anymore.
It's not something you skip straight away if it comes on. Yeah.
I mean, usually it will start playing and someone will go, "Oh, Jimbo, what do you think of Ed Sheeran?" I go, "Now you turn that off. Now you turn that off." That's basically what I say. Paul, do you listen to? He's a. I saw a clip of him yesterday. He's gone buzz cut. He's gone ginger buzz cut. He's gone ginger buzz. Yeah. You're a fan of Mr. Sheeran's?
So I'm a massive fan of
tunes.
music. music is my life. That's it. That's my passion, really. When he first came out, and that first single he did, Project 18, for Project 18 is a fantastic song. And then he sold out a bit then, didn't he? He went straight down to pure pop. There's not much meaning to his songs, just words that rhyme. And you listen to him, and he's quite honest about it. He says he keeps a book and he spends all day just rhyming words. So that when he writes a song, he just looks in his book and go, yeah, that rhymes with that, and then he writes a song about it. And quite often, maybe allegedly steals other people's material.
Yeah, there was one tune that he had, and I was like, hang on, I recognise this tune straight away. I was like, this ain't the original, mate. This has got I can't remember what it was now. But yeah. Nathan, Mr. Sheeran, are you a fan, yay or nay?
Me.
Good answer.
Not my favourite. It's not really my type of music. If it comes on, no. It's alright, but a bit overplayed. I'm more kind of, my main music will be Eminem, Linkin Park, rapping, kind of bit of metal, or rock technically. But no, I'm not overtly critical of music. Generally, there's songs from most artists, one or two that I like. I have such a random playlist of basically one song of probably every genre. It's like, I'm sure most people do, but it's not like I'm just set to one thing.
Yeah. So thank you for your question, Tag, and I want you to answer as well, Taggart. Are you an Ed Sheeran fan or not? We have an MFL question here. Great to have on MFL podcast. Kenny, would people be interested in an auction-like system for the marketplace? And has it been discussed before? The market can feel stale at certain parts of the season and could be a way of freshening it up. Or would it get flooded with commons and make little difference? Auctions, what are we thinking, chaps?
I'd be open to it, but I'd have to expand more. Paul, do you want to give your initial answer before I ramble a bit?
No, I don't like the idea. I'll be honest. I quite like the interaction you have with other managers. If a player's listed and you can hit them up on Discord and you can negotiate a cost and you can do all these kind of things, I think it's a lot more personable. I don't like the idea of just listing rubbish players and hoping they sell with just no real. The community is the best thing about this game, isn't it? And if I get an opportunity to chat to somebody on Discord, I'd rather do that than just hope I win an auction.
Yeah, I guess kind of depends how it's implemented. If you're taking it as something that was coming in, like would it be something that it's the players from MFL side are put up, or would it be something that managers put up players? And then would it be? Because I've actually thought of this thing before. I was like, just for variety, would it be interesting if there was like an auction house, fourth tab, for players, or like packs, maybe even if you couldn't move your common reward packs. Like, I guess you have to think of the duration, and would there be reserves? It's like, I'm not selling this guy unless he's above a $5 bid.
But that's a bit like offers, then, isn't it? Like, I don't accept the offer that is below that. So I think reserves, you just hypothetically, if they were to implement it, I don't think you put reserves.
I don't think it's something that happens.
And I think for players, I wouldn't be keen on auctions just because of the spectrum of values we have, from being 1 to unlimited, and also, but they have to be whole numbers, don't they? So that throws up a curveball.
Yeah, I guess if they brought in maybe listing for cents and fractions.
I think for let's talk bigger items like a club or a pack. I think those ones could kind of work. Like clubs could kind of work. Packs, I guess, common reward packs are $2, but someone might get a cheeky, dollar pack in there. Pull your eyes like up at that thought, I imagine, of a $1, $1 common reward pack. That could work. I think for players, maybe not, but there was actually they did do an auction at one point. It was off MFL, off the MFL site. Who was the player? Was it Heredia or Zapata? I think it was Zapata, a left back. And MFL had him, and basically were like, right, we're going to auction him off. And there was a bit of a whole predicament where it got. I think the money then went to charity or something like that. It was like a charity auction basically for this player, and it got to the point where someone bid on it, but someone else thought their bid on it, and the person who won didn't actually have wasn't the last bidder and all that. And I think eventually it kind of made their hand the player made its way to the person who kind of, well, I can't remember. I think it was Scrub and someone else had it. Tremendous player. I think he at the time was like the best left back or the best. The best left back. That's a hard thing to say. The best remaining left back to still be in a player's ownership. And obviously that kind of what I'm getting at with that is then you've got all this thing about, oh, I bid for it but I didn't win it, but I was the last bid, or a bit like when you buy a pack, it's just your internet connection, other things have an influence, and you're just opening it up. But I think for players, maybe not. Clubs and packs could be an interesting avenue, though. But it has to be implemented right, like you said, Nathan.
I think clubs and packs would be okay, but not players.
It's a bit chaotic for players, probably.
You got this whole the thing with the people selling common packs having to constantly relist them to stay on top and things like that. It's like a full-time job.
Yeah, I don't have the energy for that. I'd rather open them.
Right. Stats don't lie. He's got 3 questions. It says biggest mistake new players make. I'll go ahead first or unless either of you two want to chime in first.
I think I know my one. I
go on then, Nathan.
Mentioned it already. Maybe underselling players.
Yeah,
might not be the most happens to everyone. Might not happen to everyone, but you can kind of feel hard done by if you undersell a guy. You just feel a bit silly. So I'd say just be cautious.
Yeah, and also just to add to that as well, I think even now, but especially as a new user, it is quite hard to value players who are worth something, especially as a new user, because you might just look at finding recently sold stuff's not always the easiest.
Yeah, it's hard to judge it with the MFL stats and assistants.
You're just looking at the floor price, maybe, which might not be a true reflection of the player's price.
And people aren't aware of offers when people tend to list for I don't know
players that are misfits and are better in a secondary position. They may not always be aware about that. So yeah, I think that's a good one, Nathan. You got one, Paul?
Yeah. I've got a very, very good one, I think. If you're new to the game and you're going to buy a club in a division you can afford to run them in. Don't buy a flip club and load them with 75, 80 rated players. It's a waste of money. Buy a club in the division you're aiming for.
Spoken like a man with experience.
Don't start at the bottom because you would throw in your money away.
But what if it's their hometown?
Well, if it's their hometown, then you see some of the Flint leagues I'm in this season are crazy. You got this one of the teams in one of my leagues. I can't remember which one it is, and I think they've won every game this season. And you look at their team; they're all like 75, 76, 77, and it's like even if it's your hometown, you don't need you don't need that quality of player.
It's overkill,
yeah.
It's just overkill, yeah. And I know they want to be a whale and stuff, but again, if it's not your hometown, just buy a license in a league that you think you're going to challenge in.
Yeah, my one. I think there's plenty we could go through, but I think maybe around sort of like auto accepts and just not checking auto accepts, like the contract, like the minimum clauses you've got on.
Oh yeah,
on auto accepts. Oh, great value auto accept, bang! But it needs to play 25 games, and you're like, especially at mid-season as well. If people join mid-season, that can be a real kicker.
If you're doing it on your phone, it's very easy to miss it sometimes because you can't see, and then maybe you just see auto accept. You're just like bang bang. And it's like 20 games or 30%. Like sugar.
One thing I've seen recently is not very common, and this isn't for new players, this is for seasoned players, is listing players who are due to retire for like $1 or $2 when they're on like 10% in an iron club or something like that. And it's you basically you got the option of picking up a player for $1 and getting 1,000 MFL on top of it.
I've done that.
What's worse is the guys that list them and they're on a 0% contract. That's after mid-season. I understand they're just trying to maybe recoup a tiny bit of losses, but it's just kind of cheeky, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Cheeky behavior.
You check the players for sale and you look at the percentage they're on for their loans. Every now and then there may be a player pops up, but if you're going to use that MFL and flip a pack, you're going to get more money back.
And if you're on the tile view as well, you don't see the symbol. Whereas if you're on the is it the column view it's called?
Or if you're on the grid view,
you can see
the table view. Sorry, actually, I had that happen to me, Paul. Funnily enough, probably about season 3 or season 4, there was a common player in the Wyverns just literally for training purposes. I think he was on 2% because I just put them on stands. Because my thing was like, if I want to sell them, at least they've got a percentage that might help to sell my players. Like a 48 rated striker, Brazilian, I think his name was like Paes, Paes, and it sold for like $1 or $2, and then it may have even been yourself, a bit too early I think for you, but it could have been. And I was like, oh crap. I'm in a final of a cup and I've just sold 2%. I was like, oh, you absolute nutcase. And then, like you said, from then on out, for the next season or two, I was looking like mid-season before rewards day, any common players with a decent, rev share that maybe have been snuck into a team for training purposes.
Yeah, it'll be worthwhile coming up to reward stage. Look for
Yeah.
any cheap listed guys. Some guys are on like, I've seen guys on 12, 15, 20%.
Yeah.
And maybe they're in Flint, but if they're at the right price, I guess.
You come to the end of the season and you get people with they got 85, 86, 87 rated players, and they want $1 for them, so they don't just retire with nothing. And then you look at them and they're on like a 10% rev share.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is.
Right place, right time.
Yeah, exactly. You can get some little sneaky bargains in there. His second question is, which MFL manager do you admire the most? Oh, who we gonna glaze over the most here? I actually never think about this one.
Are we forbidden from saying you, or like do we have to say you?
Oh no! If you say me, then I'd be like, "What the fuck are you saying me for?"
Mine's obvious. Mine's obvious.
Unless you wish to stay in a division for for multiple birthdays IRL, then yes, please say me. Please, if strong and stable foundations of a club, I think I'm your man. But if you're looking for excitement, and a yo-yo, or maybe they get relegated this season, then it's not me.
They ain't going to work the space.
No, you're gonna work the space.
Yeah, he kind of got into it at the same time as me, and I find it impressive. He's got so many teams that he started them in Spark, and I get some of them in Flint. He's gotten so many up to like stone and iron, maybe bronze.
Yeah,
he had a gold team, isn't that he nearly got into Plat. I think a few seasons ago he got to playoffs. Like, I find that impressive personally.
There you go, Jack. You've got Nathan's a big admirer. Paul, yourself, you say you had someone?
Yeah, mine's pretty obvious. Is trust the process. He is. He inspires me, and I do chat to him every now and then on Discord. And every time I'm feeling like, I don't know, not so much selling up, but every time I'm losing interest slightly, I just sometimes message him and ask him how he's doing, and he always inspires me, always keeps me going.
Oh, I love that.
Obviously the process is important, isn't it? So he's an obvious one, really.
I guess it depends how you play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't think about this earlier, and I was like, who do I admire the most? Like, who do I admire? Like their agency, their players, their clubs, that sort of thing. And I've gone with Dio. I think I quite admire like how scouting wise, progression wise,
it's a very fun way to play. I think he
on it, like
find the progression guys
on it. He's been a mainstay in Diamond for pretty much eternity, whether or not his main team's been relegated, then promoted, but he's always had a team up there. He's got an abundance of teams high up the pyramid, albeit some of them, like his Heronville, I think where he's from, have come, stacked their way up top. But once you get to gold and plat, you've still got to be very competitive. I think the guy's got 3 platinum teams on course to have 2 diamond teams. Like, I think he's been on the podcast twice as well. I don't know if I get to be on the podcast for me to admire you, but I think when we came on the most recent time, did like a diamond deep dive, and he prepared. This is great. He had it's almost like PowerPoint slides of each team and like what I think they're going to run, their strength, and you just sort of deep dive. The guy
research.
Yeah, the guy does research into players, into clubs, and he just loves MFL. And I think just his agency as a whole, one of the biggest ones, I think is pretty cracked, and it's something to admire. I think
he's put in the work in, isn't he? He's really put the work in. And he's getting the rewards, and you've got to appreciate that.
Yeah. And he loves promoting and strengthening hometown licenses. No, obviously the pair of us, or the three of us, sorry, are big fans of. I don't know why I said the pair of you are big fans of doing as well with your local clubs. We love to see the local clubs do well. This third question, cool, we need to get a bit quicker through these. Would you rather have one club? This is still from Stats Don't Lie. Would you rather have one club in each tier of the pyramid from Diamond to Flint, but own no players? So loans only each season, basically. Or have 1,000 players, fairly even across all rarities, but own no clubs?
Do you want me to go first? Because I can
Yeah,
answer this.
feel like we know your answer. Go on, Paul, go for it.
I would have one club in each division, and I would relegate them down, and I would gather the MFL, and I would sell it, and I would then use those clubs as kind of farm progression teams to develop a main squad.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. No, I expect that answer.
I wouldn't want 1,000 players. 1,000 players would. I don't think I could deal with that.
No, I couldn't either. Nathan, how about you?
I didn't even think of it in terms of the getting all the clubs and relegating them down. I thought of just the stress of, oh God, I got a diamond club and plat club and a gold club, and I got to find loans for these from nothing. So I would have went with 1,000 players because also I love checking progression. The progression progression is one of my favorite parts. First thing I do when I get into work in the morning.
You've nearly made me flip because I was going to say clubs, and I think I am still going to say 1,000 clubs. No, it's not quite. Sorry, I'm not here to take your pedestal. But I was going to say a club from every division, but then you said progression. I was like, oh, actually, no,
like, they're not your players.
Yeah, but is there something about even having a player you loan in is a progression beast, and you're the one who continues that momentum?
No, then it hurts because he's not yours.
Oh, I don't fall in love with a lone player, you know?
Exactly.
I'm going to go with club, sir. I'm going to go with club and everything.
Do you know where those players will progress to retirement?
Yeah. But he said I had, even rarities, so I have a few ultimates that are making me a load of MFL. Then just open common reward packs and have fun.
Clubs are forever. Players aren't. There we go. That's basically what
forever.
Oh, maybe the hashtag should be hashtag clubs are forever. I don't know. Another hashtag here. Throw it out. If you've got this far as well, hashtag clubs are forever. This is a question for me, another Bronze 8 vets. Either of you played in Bronze League 8?
Only 12.
Only 12.
And might not get back up to Bronze again, so...
Trust says, is Bronze 8 harder than playing in Diamond? Bruce is managing his Trust the Process Philly B, who's in third in Bronze but projected first. But he's also managing Los Galacticos, who are now in first but projected third after he took over. And then Bruce puts hell of a way to tell me an underperforming boss. SR Monkey, should I be allowed to speak out the engine on the ramble this week? No, you shouldn't be, David. No, I think...
free speech.
Mission level impossible... Don't speak about the engine.
Or say one nice thing about the engine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yorkshire Tea and Ramble Challenge.
They should each say one nice thing.
Yeah.
Without sounding too sarcastic.
There we go. If they've not recorded it yet.
Set it up like a debate society. They should have them on each side. That'd be a great podcast.
I don't think it would be. Resoof, all three of us. Who is your most favorite MFL player of your agency or any agency, and why?
Do you have any, Paul, or just because they're all dollar players?
Yeah, do you know what's really bad though? I have to check. It's a goalkeeper. Yeah, I've got a goalkeeper called Claude Lucks. And he's one I've had for a while, and he was progressing really well. I was really excited for him, but yeah, probably him. He's tailed off now, but I think he's the first player I think of when I think of my agency. So yeah, probably him.
Yeah, mine's not one of my older players. It's a new guy I picked up last season. 16-year-old Irish striker. He was 53 at that point, so he's only 55 now. So he's only gone +2 in the past season. But he was 16. It was $20, so yeah, ludicrous overpay, some would say. But he's Irish. Gordon Twomey is his name, and he's mine now for the next at least 16 seasons from when I bought him. So
Yeah,
And
love
if they're Irish, I will probably overpay a tad.
that. Usually my favorite players are my oldest players, and actually my oldest player I sold 2 seasons ago. Reynaldo Romo, I sold him. He nearly needed me for 4 years, and I sold him. It was quite a heartbreaking moment. I haven't actually gone back and see if he progressed this season. I probably
Yeah, I
will.
probably
And if
sold
I
my
swear
player
down if he has
last
got a
season.
+2, he's a fraud. So I'm going to go to now my oldest player, who was my second oldest player. That's Wilfredo Arango. He's a Colombian striker, now 82 rated. I picked him up on the marketplace the evening the marketplace was released to the community, the 27th of July, 2022 at 7:09
That's nearly
p.m.
4 years ago.
I bought him for $49 as a 77 rated 17-year-old. And I was banging player. He's only gone up +5, since he was
The
17.
longevity is very impressive.
If he throws up next season, I'm gonna be angry. But if he makes it to 40, I'll be happy. But if he gets to 37 years old, a bit like you were saying, Nathan, that longevity, if he can make it to 37, the average for his ID or mint ID, then I've had him for 20 seasons, which is kind of crazy to think about. Which a calendar year is like 8.6 or something like that. 8 seasons a calendar year.
I think so.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. I think we have one final question. We do. A late entry from Trust. Late entry. It was an hour ago. But with the reward day coming up, in terms of value, what is the best and worst reward pack in your opinion? He says, in my opinion, people love the uncommon packs, but I think those two lower uncommon packs are the worst 2 packs you could buy.
Ooh.
Even worse than the 900k 1994 Lego packs. And he says, for best, I think most people know my opinion on which one is the best. Haha. Full stop. Value,
Yeah,
best and worst packs.
Yeah, so obviously I sell my packs. So looking from a sales point of view, I track all of the average prices. So common packs offer the best value, but are they're a full-time job to try and
Nightmare.
sell. So me personally, it's limited packs. I undercut the market slightly and I just sell them all more or less day one as soon as I get them.
Mm.
And then I kind of know where I am then. But I think the better the pack, the worse the return is financially.
Yeah. Nathan, thoughts?
I guess best for value. Yeah, you're common. Can't sell it. I guess the 50 to 54s aren't bad. They're kind of gone up to $4, I believe, at the minute, are they?
Yeah,
They seem to be selling for it.
Really competitive. People selling those, I've noticed.
Yeah, like I was listening to my brother. He was on to me last night. I was doing the math, and I think if you do sell X pack, I was like, he was like, if you can sell those 50 to 54s, you're doing good. I was like, yeah, I know they had them. It's okay. But I think they're probably one of the better ones. Maybe the Josh Excel's in London, the 60 to 64s. He was selling them for a very close rate to the common reward packs.
Mm.
So I guess then they seem to move semi-regularly.
Yeah, there's a thing like, I'm not going to...
You kind of got to balance the speed of sale versus the
effort to
MFL, I guess.
Effort to list it.
Yeah. Unless they bring in group listings, which would be a nightmare for the amount of common reward packs that would appear.
Because before we had them on the marketplace, obviously people would use Floaty to sell packs, and you could group list packs on Floaty. So you just buy, like, the tedious bit was buying the pack, click whatever, and then that long process, and then selling it or listing it for sale was okay. But because a lot of kind of then it was like $2.85, $3. You can be a bit more specific with the price. There was a bit more competition, so you'd sort of max or group delist and group list. Whereas now they're kind of just $2 stable.
If they brought in the cents, that'd be interesting. You'd probably get a few for $1.50, maybe I doubt $1, but like $1.50, $1.25.
Yeah, I think 180 would they'd probably sell pretty fast for. But like I said, they are still the best return. And obviously you trust them because he opens them. And if you've got the amount of clubs he's got, you open hundreds of common packs, you're going to end up with a couple of really good players.
Yeah, some good lottery
And if
tickets,
you
aren't
love
there? You know.
progression, if you love progression, it's the best way to. It's the best way to
Yeah,
go.
I'm looking forward to the day when a lot of my commons retire and I can get like 20, 30, 40 common reward packs some rewards day and just refresh
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling. Stats don't lie actually replied to him saying, "What are your thoughts on the 600 versus 1200 common packs?" So maybe we'll be able to update later in the pod with Trust's answer. But for me, I'll stay away from the common reward pack just because we've touched on it quite a bit. For worst value, I just think those upper legendary packs are just like honking.
Yeah.
900k, the commitment of MFL, the risk of bringing a player who's not what you want overall and age wise, and the fact that because of the pool of players, you can almost figure out which players are going to be in that pool, and therefore, you have that risk of being the first person, to dip into the
Yeah.
pool, which could either be great or bad, and then vice versa. You could be one of the last people, and you could have the pick of everyone, the better players, the better probability, or the worst one, but you may need that pack. And the last couple of seasons, I've quite enjoyed selling a rare pack. I think they're relatively, promising in demand. I think that if we see reverse strength creep, I think they become more valuable because people will want to maybe, if their players retire and strengths of say iron or stone sort of shift downwards because of players going back up the pyramid, they might want to keep their strong rare squad and they'll,
And
want to purchase it.
if you could sell the rare
Yeah.
player pack, you can probably buy, if you can get it sell it for 100, you could probably buy two, maybe
Yeah.
three
I
fresh
mean,
rares if
I
you're
think
on the ball on rewards day.
I think I sold mine during preseason for 110 this season. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
like
what they
I've
are. I
seen
think they
fresh
may have gone
rares
to like
getting listed for about
115 or
$30.
something like that. I think it's one of
I think
those where
the average was 105 when I last checked, but
I think it's
if
one of
you
those packs that there's a good demand for it, but also a good supply for a seller where it does run out a bit, where there's only 3 or 4 or 5 on the market towards the start of the season or something like that. So it is
the
quite a
uncommon
nice
reward
place
packs,
to
it's saying they're
be.
kind of up to near 25 now,
Yeah.
I think.
But like Stress said, people love the uncommon packs. So I think
Yeah,
that's a
they're
nice
fun.
prime point. But I like rare for value, just the ordinary rare one.
If you're
Rare
opening
one.
them, which would you
Uh,
pick?
if I was opening them,
Just the
I,
one
I
rare
mean,
or four
couple.
uncommon?
I mean, if I was opening them, I'd probably go for the rare. Usually if I'm opening packs, it's because I want to open a pack, not because I need a couple of players. Like, do you know what? I've sold a bunch of my MFL. I can now afford to open a rare pack and not be hurt by what I get. So
Yeah.
I'll enjoy the pack opening more because I've done the painful bit of selling my MFL to sort of fund this season or next season or build up a bank. But I'd never rip a pack first and then sell because I'm like, oh, if that comes in bad, then I'm scratching my head at what I've got to do.
I think the amount of time you obviously if you rip when you're gambling and when you rip a pack, you could rip a rare pack and have a count which is worth a couple $100, but chances are it's probably going to be a player which is worth less than what you've paid for the pack.
Yeah, I tend to rip the uncommon packs on rewards day, and normally what I do is I'll list them unless they're like really good, I'll list them generally for about $30, which most of them aren't worth it. But because they're fresh, it's only happened once or twice, but I managed to sell a guy for the $30. Maybe they're like 24, 23, 65 to 67 rated. So I feel like I'm kind of happy with myself either way. I get to keep a player, it's fresh, it might progress, or I've just met $30 on a guy that's nowhere near worth $30, but just because he's fresh, someone wants to take a punt. Then I can buy another pack.
I used to open the common packs when I first started, and I think the last time I did it, I ended up with such a bad batch of players. I promised I would never do it again. But like I said, you can sell the common pack for $2, and then you can hand pick 2 players which actually fit into one of your squads, and you can see their attributes. I know you're not going to get anything crazy, but even the worst players can develop like rockets.
Yeah, it depends if you get lucky if you can get that 16 or 17-year-old that you can sell for $10 to $15. I've had 1 or 2 of those, and it just feel like a nice little quick little flip.
But
You just sell them for tenner.
A season or 2 back, I did a test where I think I opened 20 packs, and then I bought $20 players to see which one would give me the best return, and hand picking players was by far the best.
Oh yeah,
And when I say return, it wasn't much. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah. Right. That's all of our community questions. Unless either of you have a community question, because inherently you are the community as well.
no, I
If
got
not,
nothing.
well, have a think about it. If you've got one for
Okay.
that later at the end, you can. But no pressure. Nathan, whilst you were busy, I don't know,
Well, my laptop didn't feel like connecting to Wi-Fi.
busy finding the end of the rainbow, and so on and so forth. Paul gave us a little brief introduction as to how he discovered MFL, a little bit about his sort of philosophy is his dollar club. Do you mind sort of sharing as well from your side? Go to the very beginning. How did you find MFL? That sort of
Yeah.
piece, and how do you play MFL as well? What's your focus? How do you play MFL?
Okay, so I'll start at the beginning. I found it through Work the Space and Nepenthes. I think I'm nearly a year, maybe a year on it now.
Nice.
So I think this time last year, I started getting Nepenthes videos. Kind of just recommended it to the YouTube feed, and I was like, "What is this thing? Go away! Stop recommending me these things. I don't watch this." Then I watched Work the Space play it a few times, and I said, "You know what? Football Manager had been out about 2 years at that point. I think that was still FM24. So I said, I need something new here. FIFA's dead, in my opinion. So I got it. I was kind of cautious. I was like, I don't know about this thing. I've never really played Web3 games before. So I was cautious about putting the money in and like, oh God, they're going to take all my money and I'm going to be broke. So I got it. I sold my first club for $90 from a club back on. I was like, well, I've made money now. May as well keep on going. Got the next club pack. I think it was Padova. And I've just kind of run with that ever since. So went from 1 to 2 to up to 10 on my own now from season 13. And I'm happy to say 2 Galway clubs, which have been hard to come by. But yeah, it was a cautious start. But once I kind of got used to it, got accustomed to spending the money on players, it was just different for me. I love it. I really enjoy it. It feels like the natural progression, evolution from someone that plays Football Manager that's growing up to play a more adult game, I guess, if you want to put it that way. That's how I got into it. In terms of my philosophy,
Yeah, your profile.
I don't really have one. Kind of play, just do what I want. I'm not really a guy that's strict on maybe like buying cheap players and selling them, or I don't really sell packs. I like opening them, having a bit of fun that way. The only philosophy I have is, I guess, to try and get as many Irish clubs as I can, specifically Galway, and just get them as high as I can. I've kind of decided in the past season or two that I'm going to try and make a more concentrated effort to maybe try and get one of my teams up towards iron or bronze. Not through maybe just like splashing 500 one off season, because I can, but maybe through like slow progression. I nearly have Padova in playoffs in Stone this season. Probably will miss out, but might just sneak in.
Yeah.
But other than that, the main philosophy, I guess, would be buy lots of Irish players at probably ludicrous prices and try and hope eventually one of them progresses. And that about summarizes my philosophy.
Have there been many big progressing Irish players in MFL? You know, is it a hopeful
Not that I have,
nationality
no.
for progression? Apart from the French, is it a hopeful nationality
No,
for
it doesn't look
progression?
like it's too promising. I'm hoping my young striker might do something, but I missed out on one guy. I think he went plus 4 or 5 this season. I believe his name is Mick McKenna. Nairis Chris, we
awful
talk all the
surname.
time. He has he's trying to get all the Irish clubs in his counties, but I think it was one of the streams I was trying to watch games, watching football on the TV, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I did a thing," and sends me the screenshot of this guy that he's bought. That's mad progressing Irishman. I was like, God damn it! The one time I miss out on an Irishman, because he's been telling me for the past few weeks, like, "How are you so fast? How'd you get them all?" And I'm like, "I'm just lucky. I just refresh, and there's a fresh Irish guy there for $1. I just pay the $1. I
Yeah.
just take him, like give him to me. He's mine now and forever."
Are there any Irish locations you will not take?
No, but I will always take Galway.
Okay.
So if the opportunity arises, I've kind of set myself a soft limit that I won't pay as much for just other Irish locations, but I'll always happily have them.
Okay. Paul, I'm going to ask you the same question. Is there any Welsh locations you would not take into your agency?
No. Yeah. No, there's not. I'll give you a good example. I had 2 Cardiff licenses, and the Cardiff licenses are, they're fairly rare. And I swapped the Cardiff for like a random fishing town in Wales that probably nobody's ever heard of, just because I wanted all different locations.
Yeah.
I suppose Swansea would be the only one.
I was going to say, you're a Cardiff fan, like
conflicted
IRL
about that
football,
one,
right?
I would take them. Like I said,
even in Flint.
I'm a massive supporter of Welsh football. Obviously I'm a Cardiff fan and we hate Swansea.
Yeah.
But I'm really
Good.
pleased.
Good.
I'm really pleased that they stayed in the Championship this season, because
You get to play
we're
them.
going to have the Welsh Trinity, and we're going to have Cardiff, Wrexham, and Swansea all in the Championship. It's just good for football. It's good for Welsh football.
So maybe it's just. How do I phrase this? Do Swansea and Cardiff fans like Wrexham?
To be honest, we've probably been indifferent until recently, because obviously they've done what they've done. I don't dislike them. I think it's good for Welsh football. If they invest in Welsh football and they bring Welsh players through their academy, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Same with the Swansea players. Swansea produce some great Welsh internationals, and it's as much as we hate them, it's just banter, and it's football rivalry. It's what the games run off. But yeah, we're a small nation. We need all the help we can get. So
Bakers can't be choosers in this scenario.
Yeah, I think it's our biggest strength, really, as a small nation, is we've got a smaller pool of players, so we tend to have to blood the youngsters and play them, and I think that leads to good camaraderie. And
you get a lot of Irish youths in the Irish leagues as well, especially in the Dublin clubs. They've lots of 17, 18, 19-year-olds that play regularly up there.
Yeah. You look at the Welsh team, you look at some of the youngsters we had in the last generation, they'd all played 50 plus internationals by the time they were 22, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I think it's our biggest strength and our biggest weakness.
Yeah, last bit on IRL football, I do Jordan James, who plays for Leicester. I think he's a tidy little player. Saw him come to Norwich and score at Carrow, and he looked a very nice player.
The best youngster at the moment is Cardiff have obviously got Cardiff in. The Colwell brothers are really, really good.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to think Galway have a future Wales international in goal. Evan Watts, he's on loan from Swansea. He's been there for the past last season, came on loan. This is the second season on loan now, starting full time. He's a very good keeper, so I can actually see him progressing into a League One or League Two loan maybe next year or two.
We've got a centre back, Dylan Lawler. I'm assuming people might have heard of him, and he is destined for the absolute top of the game. He is the most silkiest centre back you'll ever see in your life, and I don't know where he's going to end up, but I know Real Madrid was sniffing around all of the top European clubs. So if we can hang on to him next season, that'll be good. But yeah, he's definitely going to the absolute top of world football.
Yeah, you next season, the Championship, you might have to sort of, utilise a bit of your revenue share percentage to try and bring in some big loan players, maybe to boost your chances in the Championship. Paul, I do have a question for you, Paul. With your whole DollarClub philosophy and what you do, are you a master of spreadsheets? Is this where you do all your tracking? Is it an admin task you enjoy doing? Do you track literally everything? Is it fun?
Yeah. So I spend more time on the spreadsheet than I do on the MFL website. So I do track. So I have stepped back a little bit. I don't track as much as I used to. But yeah, there was a period I tracked every single player, every single club, individually. I had every player individual. I had every player's individual MFL earnings for their careers to see how it kind of averaged out.
Yeah.
And then at one point I had players in the clubs on 2% rev share in my own teams, so that I could
estimate their returns. Yeah,
I could separate out the club and the player business. I've changed that a bit now, so yeah, I do run them separately. So my player agency is one part of the spreadsheet, and then the club earnings via pack sales is another part. But like I said, it's going so well. I haven't broken even yet overall. The player agency is hugely in profit from what
Yeah.
I've spent.
Yeah.
Club licenses take a long time to pay off, so I have sold a lot of licenses for a profit.
Yeah.
I could sell a couple of clubs and be completely break even, but it'd be a bit gung ho really. I think I want to break even, but I don't really want to get rid of some of my teams just for that sake.
Yeah. Is your new venture of the 30%, if that's still the current percentage you're going for, going into the DollarClub, is that also going to be strictly logged on spreadsheet, or is there going to be a bit more of an IRL approach to football business where we just sort of forget about it for a bit and hope it doesn't bite us in the arse with financial fair play? You know, all that sort of stuff.
It sounds a bit tedious, but I pretend the agency is an actual business.
I admire the discipline. Maybe I should have been you, Paul. Maybe you're the. I admire the discipline. I think a lot of other managers will as well because of how disciplined you are with it.
Not many have the ability.
The spreadsheet at the moment's got a separate section for the DollarClub, and then basically I've just got a formula worked out where they've always got a transfer pot, which starts off as 30% of the earnings from the agency. And then individual player sales will come under that club. So if they buy somebody and sell them for profit, they'll also have that money as well. But yeah, it's 30%. It's not much. It's not going to.
No, but I just think just you saying there, like there's a bit of the spreadsheet and it's got the 30% of the transfer budget. Just hearing all these things, these terms and phrases, and knowing what that spreadsheet looks like without actually knowing what it looks like, just looks like.
I've shared it on my X. Like I said,
is it on there? Is it?
Yeah, with the X thing, because I do everything completely transparent. I share my spreadsheets. I share all of my ins and outs every season, profits, losses,
and as well. I think it's worth mentioning you did also create the Play MF or the MFL game subreddit as well, right? That's one thing you.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I was one of the things I've been thinking about a lot is the growth of the game. I set the Reddit up a little while back, and it was all right. It was pretty good to start, and then it died off, and I let it kind of go.
Yeah.
But the last week or so, it's probably exploded.
Maybe it's a good
indicator.
So
many new users, and just people posting on this, and I've just joined the game. This is my first team. What should I do and stuff like that. So people are finding it, and I think this month has been broken the record for the most unique visitors. So yeah, so it's good. It's a good way of measuring the growth.
Yeah, no, I like that. Which is r/MFL game for those.
Yeah, it just blew my mind that there wasn't one there. Or there was one there. Somebody had set it up months and months and months and months ago.
Yeah.
And then just let it rot. So I had to negotiate with them to hand it over to me.
Yeah, so that'd be a good way to advertise the game, just even having a Reddit, because so many people use Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they might accidentally type in MFL instead of NFL.
This is one of the problems, isn't it, with MFL? Is whenever you say MFL, it brings up NFL.
Or modern foreign languages.
MFL /MFL is not available. It's already redirects to NFL. So
they're so used to people typing in the wrong thing.
Yeah. But I think there was a post on there the other day. You might have seen it because there was a guy who joined the game and he had a crazy pull in his.
He packed I saw that.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. But that post has had about 8,000 views on the Reddit.
How many?
So, about 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah. It's had. I'll click on it now. So this is what I'm saying. It's proper kind of exploded. So I'll click on his post a second. So according to Reddit here, it's had 7.8k views. So yeah,
that's crazy.
When I look at the actual Reddit stats, it shot up. There seems to be a lot more interest. Now there are a couple of people posting on there regularly who are part of our community, but there seems to be more and more people discovering MFL, which is great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for creating that subreddit, but also, yeah, you're right. It's a great sort of little insight into sort of, maybe like potential growth figures, or if you have a theory about growth, that could be, if that's showing sign, that's a good indicator.
You assume there's going to be a bit of an uptick anyways in the coming weeks with the end of the European seasons and the end of, I guess,
the natural sort of like May, June uptick, like we saw
getting
last
bored
year,
of those games that they just kind of hopefully then they're just retain a few. Hopefully they retain them.
I think there's going to be a lot more new managers next season.
Yeah.
So I just think it just seems to be taking off a little.
Although, Paul, I do want to touch on you said earlier before I think we started saying that quite a few people have been messaging you and saying they're sort of like consolidating down their agencies. Is that something that you've been seeing? Is this because we're
Yeah,
suggesting because of like retirements around the corner, people want to have a different approach to how
I
they
think
play
that
MFL?
I think that not some ignore the massive agencies. I think some of the big agencies have already said that they're considering consolidating slightly, but yeah, lots of the middle of the road agencies, lots of your Storms and Irons. I have had multiple people message me saying, "I like the way you run your agency. Can you give me any tips on how I can do the same?" And without naming any names, there's somebody I've been speaking to recently who's sold all their best players and just
Starting from
starting to
scratch.
get rid of licenses which have got value
Because
to
it's hard
just
to maintain at the minute if you get
well, it's
unlucky
scary
and your
numbers,
best guys
isn't it?
start retiring in the
Yeah,
middle of power creep and you start losing your best guys.
I think with obviously the way I run things, if a player retires, he costs me $1. I've lost a
You
dollar,
can live with it.
It's a sip of a
and I
pint of
can't.
alcohol.
Yeah, but you look at some of the transfers I see, and whilst people are playing the game and they're enjoying it, and more power to them, absolutely play the game how you want. But when I see players going for $300, $400, $500, and then they may retire in 3 seasons, 4 seasons, I
Yeah, I
just
sold a goalkeeper for 500 and he was 28 and I was like, this is the
yeah,
time to sell him.
He was French, right?
Yep, Javon.
yeah.
He didn't retire, so take from that what you will.
Yeah,
French not
exactly.
retiring.
He'll be
It's
playing
not
at
like it's one
50.
of the biggest. It's not like it's one of the biggest nationalities that has the biggest cohort of players in the ecosystem alongside the English. No, it's definitely because developers are French, so the progression
Yep.
bias. Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear that, Paul. Especially because one of my predictions was that people will consolidate because naturally they'll want to maybe fund one or two other clubs. By doing so, they have to sell off their other clubs and players. And
Yeah,
I think that cycle constantly happens over X amount of
you
seasons.
can't
People
you
with 10
can't
go to 5 and 5 go to 2, etc.,
yeah, you
etc.
can't be competitive with people with I don't know 20 clubs. If you're trying to be competitive with 20 clubs, that's a serious amount of
If
investment.
money's no object, yeah, I think if money's no object, then I think you can always
Yeah.
be competitive. But yeah,
I found recently I've been looking into kind of vacant agencies or abandoned agencies and trying to hit people up on Discord to see if they want to sell club licenses. And I found an agency the other day, and the guy had 20 or 30 licenses, no players, or maybe 4 or 5 players left, and they hadn't been active for I don't know a couple of months or whatever. And you
uh,
think, God,
who
just
was
sell the
it?
licenses.
Out of
It's
Because there's
interest,
crazy.
more money than sense.
who was it? Out of
Yeah,
interest,
well, so if you go onto the network tab and you click on, I was looking for Welsh clubs predominantly. So yeah, I
yeah,
found a couple of Welsh clubs. When I clicked on them, I'd find an agency with maybe, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 licenses just sat there.
Yeah, there's plenty of
I'll,
Irish clubs as
I'll give
well
you an
trapped
example
in.
now because I did message somebody the other day. I don't think he had loads. I don't know. Actually, do you know what? I'm not going to give his name out.
no, that's fine. You could afterwards. You could say. I mean,
But yeah, there's one club in
Get it.
particular. He's got. Well, I'll tell you I'll tell you exactly. So there's a Cardiff license which is listed for $999. It's been there ever since I started playing, and I think I clicked on him, and I think he's got 3 club licenses for sale, all for $999. But then he obviously no longer plays the game.
mm.
I think he's one
They're
of
not
them.
obscenely low like club IDs now. Like, isn't there
Hmm.
the number? Is it one or is it the
I
one?
don't
It's
think.
the
I think the
Rosario
lowest
one.
you can get is 2 because one was like a test
Yeah.
ID. I think the lowest is
Okay.
then
If you go
one.
on to
Two.
if you go on the
Sorry.
network and you click on, you can sort by MFL earnings.
Yeah.
And then if you click on earnings this season, then you can see the zero. And then you look at their career earnings and it's hundreds of thousands.
Oh, okay.
Then
Yeah.
you can identify kind of an abandoned agency and the
Yeah.
amount
Yeah.
of them which is still hanging on to multiple clubs. I can't remember the one I found the other day, but it was a big agency. He must have had a couple of hundred players that just been sat there. And yeah, I think there was loads of rares and obviously lower, but yeah, he had a number of clubs and they were literally just sat there. And I think I'd messaged him because I wanted one of the particular clubs, but didn't even come back. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
You-
there's a good few guys that have just kind of left the game, just left completely, not everything's still there.
Yeah, but obviously most people just sell up, don't they, and leave. But
yeah,
Some people just can't be bothered.
some people.
There's like
What about money
solve
being
this and
no
off.
object? Yeah,
yeah,
money being no object. Somebody's obviously just gone. I'll just abandon the 20 club
yeah.
licenses.
Nathan, I want to ask you about Wendurk MFC. I feel like it's rude not to ask you about Wendurk MFC. You are one of 5 staff members in the team
right
now.
now.
They are playing right now, and obviously, for if people come against Wendurk, they are going to see you as a manager. I think on that sort of
Yeah,
like
I'm
panel
the
we
one that
have.
generally just makes the changes.
Yeah,
Well, not without the input from everyone else.
how has the nearly 2 seasons been? How has this season been too many chefs in the kitchen?
I don't think so. No. Both seasons have been very different experiences
Yeah,
in terms of, I guess it's 5 guys this season. It was the 4 of
yeah,
us last season. But even then, I like Zutert and Dan last season. They did most of the heavy lifting, I'd say,
hmm
in terms of they both knew the engine very well and they implemented their systems. And they were kind of the guys that made the final day-to-day changes, maybe.
hmm
And I kind of ran a few tests with maybe the tactics, but I wouldn't have made generally the changes.
mm.
But this season, I feel like I've played a lot more of a
hmm
major role in terms of I've contributed as much as the rest of the guys. I feel
yeah,
like Dan and Blades as well. I feel like it's a very equal share
yeah,
in terms of Blades says 4-2-4. I say okay, and Dan says high positional freedom, and we go word, and
yeah.
that's it. But yeah, no, it's been an interesting season. We've kind of flipped between 2 or 3 systems,
Mm.
and they've both worked, but it's just so tight.
Yeah, top of the Stone League is
It's the same as last season. Last season, the first half was phenomenal. We threw it out of the park. We were flying clear, and then kind of just faltered a little bit. And the first half of this season was very solid. I think we finished top of the first half, but it's just kind of everyone's kind of reeled us back in that little bit, and I think it's still in our hands for third or second.
Yeah,
but it will be tough to get top.
Yeah. As a result of speaking with other managers and sort of being part of that club staff, have you seen sort of any other benefits to which you've taken from like outside of that into your normal sort of like MFL day-to-day running? I just think,
Yeah,
example, like you get
yeah.
different perspectives on tactics, for example,
I've
and
learned to try
setups from other
different kind of
managers.
player instructions that I wouldn't have normally even considered trying in terms of, I guess, how I personally would process how a team should set up and play.
Mm.
Whereas others would, I guess, they're more open to trying. I wouldn't be as much of like passing risk and maybe positional freedom. I'd be more conservative in terms of trying them.
Yeah.
Where the other people would be like, it's a game, we should at least see how it works. And I'd be like, no, I don't want my team to play like that. I want them to be solid,
Yeah.
be able to attack. I'd have a much more logical approach in terms of just realistic, so I wouldn't be as daring in the experimental and a general level.
Yeah.
And also, I've learned that there's probably always a guy that's going to work harder than me. Like I always see Dan's running friendlies.
Yeah.
I feel like he's one of the first names I always see whenever I'm logging on or checking something. I always see one of his Auramir sides. And they're there. He's testing something.
Yeah.
So I always know that I can work hard. There's always going to be a guy working harder.
Amen to that. And outside of Wendurk FC, obviously you've taken on Rory's Guinness side. How have you found that? And that's in obviously the highest division you've found yourself in the pyramid, right?
Yeah. First time in anything above Stone. So it's in Bronze 12. It's been going very well. It's a weird league. It's a very strong team for Bronze. I think it's the second strongest projected, but there seems to be a decent gap between the top 4. So I was generally hammering teams the first half of the season. I think 4 or 5 of the teams are significantly worse.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of rest and rotate into them, and it's kind of just depended upon how you played them. I played like the top 4 guys in a tighter space than I did at the start of last season or the start of the season. Whereas at the start of the season, I played the lower guys. So I was feeling great, hammering everyone, 4 or 5 goals. And they kind of started reeling me in. one or two goal defeats. But I'm very happy. I didn't think it would go so. I think it's gone very well,
Yeah.
especially first time in the bronze in the cup final,
Mm.
and I look good at the minute for playoffs.
Well, good luck to you in that. And I actually want to,
Thank you.
at some point, get Rory back on, and he wants to come on and speak a bit about club delegation and club staff and sort of how it's helped him. Is someone loaning out the clubs from not maybe like a massive agency point of view? But I think one of the great things it enables people to do is if they want to earn a bit more MFL, there's a potential there. You have a good relationship with a couple of other managers, or you've shown yourself, tactically or whatever. You're going to earn. You're going to
Brilliant,
earn a bit
yeah.
more MFL now, aren't you? Which could then be used to sort of help fund. Give
Yeah, I'm
yourself
going to get nearly.
to use terminology from Paul's side of the MFL. Your transfer budget will increase for season 14 as a result of
Yeah, it's
taking on
nearly a
some more
20%
clubs.
possible increase on what I would have gotten without
Exactly.
Guinness.
And that's quite a nice way for sort of almost like a bit of a trickle down effect, really,
Yeah,
of MFL from some of those, let's call them bigger agencies or bigger clubs coming down to the users who may not necessarily have the opportunity to be up there, which I think is a
yeah. I
really
wanted to find
great
that
benefit of it.
additional bit of income because I had Guliu and he was in gold and plat the last few
Mm.
seasons on like 5 to 7% loans, so he generally bring me in about 10k MFL.
Mm.
So I was looking just to find that bit extra way after selling him to kind of maintain that level of MFL. And I was just lucky enough. I was on when Rory posted looking for some guys to delegate to.
Mm. Yeah. Will you put yourself in the mix for some more jobs next season? Put yourself on the job board?
Definitely now. I feel like I have a launch pad where I can say,
Yeah.
look, I've had a go in bronze.
Love that word, launch pad.
I've had a
I
go
think
in bronze. I've done solidly.
there's definitely an area in this game where people will just be managers. Like I said, I've delegated a few clubs out in the past, and they've done so much.
This was my question was going to be to you, Paul. Have you used this functionality, this
Yeah,
mechanic
do
in
you know
MFL?
what? I've had a couple. It's been a little bit hit and miss, but one or two of the people I delegated clubs to did so much better than I would have. So I may have given up 10 or 20%, but I probably got that back.
Yeah.
But,
I guess if you're using a spreadsheet, right, you're doing all this risk reward, you're figuring out the scenarios and everything like that. So you know what's comfortable percentage for you and expectations wise to what you're going to receive MFL rewards.
One of the things I was doing was, especially when they did the staff league, was finding brand new managers and allocating just flinked clubs out. I wasn't. It doesn't make much difference. You give them 10 or 20%. It doesn't make a great deal of difference. But there's a little bit hit and miss, like I said. But I was delegating clubs out and giving 10%, and people were bringing in their own players, and they were way better than obviously my clubs. That is, to be honest, that is part of the reason why I reduced my number of clubs, because it just felt like I don't want my clubs to feel like just MFL farms. I want them to serve a purpose. So, like I said, I've got the perfect number of clubs now for the size of my player agency, where I can just develop the dollar players and just play the game that way. Anyone can buy licenses and just.
Yeah, I think there are a few guys, aren't there, that like just have clubs and they'll essentially, I guess, loan it out for the season, delegate it out for the season. They maintain whatever, right, 10-20% for themselves, and the guy can do what they want.
Yeah, delegation's been great though. I don't. Maybe I'll delegate one or two out next season to these.
Yeah, I would love to see some kind of job board first where you can put up your applications or your notices.
Yeah, I mean, like I think was it last couple of seasons ago, Slippery Fish created that website where you could go on and you could say, oh, I've got this club for offer, or I'm a manager, I'm offering myself up, and I think other people, the Wender Club, people have come to me that I'd like to be in it. We do a call for applications, people to come in. Zuta, I've yet to release it. I'm probably gonna be kicking myself now. He sent in a full on CV to me. This is his accolades, this is his experience.
Put me to shame with my application.
Yeah,
just print off your football manager career. You've got football manager. You download your biography.
I wouldn't get any jobs if I sent them that. But yeah, I think it's great. For people being able to manage other people's clubs. Just think of it for the people like Trust. People, although he found the first season, he actually probably reinforced his opinion, doesn't trust other people as such, or his expectations of the people maybe a little bit too high.
I guess there always is a risk when you launch out to strangers that they don't have the same interest level,
yeah,
or even tactical knowledge.
I found
that you might have yourself.
even though only delegated out 5 or 6 clubs, I was still checking on them daily to make sure people had done the rotations.
Mm.
And I know with a lot of Trust's clubs, a lot of his clubs are purely there so people can rotate them. So that would drive me insane, I think, because I don't know for a fact, but I can only assume that he went in and checked and he had multiple clubs which weren't being managed properly. And there's nothing you can do about it. You've given up your percentage, you know?
Yeah, you can sack them, but then like they still get the percent.
You can sack them, but they still keep the percentage.
Then you have to do it yourself.
Yeah. I really want to see this development of manager personalities and people who come in to rescue a club. We're kind of seeing that a little bit in Diamond this season, where
Yeah.
managers are being brought in because of their previous experience and sort of stock, we'll call it, and they've come in to try and turn the ship around. You know, look at Orange Fly with Big Mr. K and
Yeah,
Sid
you got
with
the hotshot
Bruce.
managers that haven't had a go yet in
Yeah.
Gold, Platter, Diamond.
And, you know, the Yorkshire Tea lads clearly know what they're, you know, what they're talking about, what they're talking about tactically. But you know, they talk the talk and they walk the walk as well with tactics. And I think it's been a great opportunity. Yeah, and they're showing the MFL pyramid, particularly Bruce being top right now, what he's all about, which is great.
I wonder will become a lot much more common the delegating out of Diamond clubs if the manager gets.
I would like to see them increase. Yeah, I would like to see them increase the limit from 3 to 5. Although I understand the implications with that and everything that comes around with that. But I think, you know, I would love to manage 3 clubs. I've done that for the last 2 seasons. But if someone comes in mid-season and says, "Oh, I'd love your insight. I'd love something on that," and I go, "I can't. I'd love to, but I can't."
Kind of be cautious.
There are ways you can do it, like, you know, transfer the club over and things like that. But it's a bit too much hassle because I can just ping you a contract quickly. Even if it's maybe you can be on 0% for a couple, or there can be like a little tick box where it says
our contract,
you know, it could be like you have your 3 clubs, but if you send it to someone who's already managed 3, it can be like they can't manage it, but if you click this, it's like, you know, you risk this, they can have a 4th, but you both might just have to agree on it. I don't know, but
I tell you, it's a crazy thing to consider. A crazy thing to consider is the fact that these top teams bringing in managers almost makes them a professional outfit because they pay in, those managers getting paid, didn't they? They're going to win the MFL. They can flip it for cash.
Yeah,
you know, almost in the realms of professional clubs, which is where we're heading.
And start declaring tax soon.
Yeah, and even if they sack them and they reduce their permissions, they still get the contracts. They'll still get the payout for the duration of their contract as well. You know,
benefits
it's like IRL
job too.
Yeah, sack him early. Oh, sorry, Mr. Chelsea. I leave Rasidi what my 6.5 years of pay still, which is just bonkers.
I do think that, like, I love MFL. Obviously, I've been playing it for a long time, and I know, you know, the people in the community love it, but it's these things, the real life things, isn't it? You have your whales, you have your oligarchs coming in and ruining football for your league. You know,
sports washing.
And then you have these top clubs splashing out on massive signings and bringing in and changing managers. It's real football, isn't it? This is exactly it mirrors real life. It's amazing.
I hate to use IRL. Yeah, I hate to use IRL to sort of back up something MFL, but it does and it can. But we still have our metaverse twist on things as well, which I think is great. There's so many similarities, you're right, Paul, to IRL, as there should be. But then
and it should be, shouldn't it? Yeah. People complain about the match engine where they've dominated a game and lost.
No, they've not. Hang on, have you been experienced people complain about the match engine, have you?
Oh. Apparently, but yeah, you know, those things happen.
I thought XG represents the result.
Yeah.
You should have such sharp results. It makes things more interesting. Easy for me to say. Obviously, I'm not playing at the top level, and it's not really affecting me. But yeah,
you're not the guy getting shocked.
No. If I lose 8-0, it's like, yeah, okay, that was expected.
Before we wrap things up, I want to ask you both the question I usually ask people on the pod, and it's, if you were CEO for a day, what would you do? And I don't know if either of you who wants to go first there, but if you were in Mathurin's shoes for a day, it can be you either want to, you know, all resource allocated towards doing this. I want to axe this. I want to change this, get rid of this, bring in this. What would you do if you were the man at the very top of MFL for a day?
Nothing too major. I think I'd look into implementing a notice board for staff delegate. I think just be fun. See the advertisements. Especially if it's like, I know you probably couldn't do a text box because that would result in chaos.
Yep.
But
Cheers, Snake, for running an all text box
for notice board. but also probably just look into more stats on players and stats and matches, just so I can kind of take more from the match. You can take a lot more now with heat maps and shot charts, but just maybe more than there. It's only about 10 or so it shows when you look in the match report, like dribbles, fouls, passes. I'd look for a few more, but other than that, I'm someone that's very
I
satisfied
want
with
big
the game.
chances missed. I just want
Yeah.
I just want big chances missed, just so I can say it was all because my striker was a fraud on the day. That's why I lost. It's because my striker was a fraud.
On a 3D replay to show him absolutely
Yeah.
shanking the shot out for a throw in.
Yeah, rather than screenshot of this is him missing the open goal. Well, why'd you perform badly? Because my striker dropped a 4.5 and 3 multiple 0.8 xg misses in front of goal. That's why.
To find them their rev share.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna be docked 1 match day's wage, which just kick him from training. No, I wouldn't do that. No, I like that, Nathan. I like that. Paul, your answer, please, good sir.
I think two things. Really, well, I can only pick one, can't I?
Oh well, no. This is.
I picked two essentially.
Well, yeah,
so
Nathan picked a few.
do what you want.
Touching
You
on
are the
Nathan,
CEO.
there's so many external sites we have to use to find the additional stats. It would be much better if they could just incorporate them into the main website. You look at the some of the work which what's his name, Ricky Hyde has done.
Yeah, tremendous stuff.
Yeah, they're brilliant tools.
They're absolutely essential, and they should be incorporated into the main platform. The biggest change I would make though is on club delegation. There should be some kind of way of structuring the reward. So you should be.
It's like incentives in terms of if you reach X cup stage or X
you can bring a manager in on 0%, but if they get you promoted, they get 20, and if they do win a cup, they get 10. I think that'd be fantastic.
That'd be brilliant.
That's a better way to do it. I don't think that'd be a massive thing to implement. But yeah,
One thing I'd like to add, if I can just interrupt, sorry, I'd like to see Football Manager has a leagues in focus screen where you can see all the leagues around the world. So I'd love to be able to have a little screen where I can go and see how, I don't know, maybe 6 of my clubs are doing and see their leagues there. So just on one screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose that's a good point because I follow my own clubs, so I can click on my network.
Yeah, you can do it there, and you can see the position.
Yeah, so I only follow my clubs so that I can see, kind of a quick screen.
It's like a little sub tab in my HQ or something.
Yeah, I can click on mine and see they're all bottom of the league.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to expand on yours, Nathan, which is kind of, I was going to say, with the current UI, maybe they could do this, but actually, with a new UI around the corner.
We don't know.
But it could, under the clubs tab, where you have my clubs, it could be like a little toggle which says league standings, and it rotates the tile and just shows the league or something. And you've got it in a position. You're not adding an extra page. You're just adding an option toggle which just changes the view of a particular page.
Yeah, and it would just make it kind of easier
to grasp what's happening.
At
the moment. We use an external tool to do that exact thing, but we can do all of our teams on one page.
Yeah,
I think MFL Assistant has that at the minute, is it?
Yeah. So
just getting these things in the game would truly kind of.
I think there's a line between stuff that should be and stuff that I think should still remain a community tool. But I think something just for example, MFL coaches formation matrix. I don't think it's something that should just be
keep that outside.
Over.
That's the sort of stuff to keep outside.
I think that's that's a community tool which, if they're to use at your disposal, but it may sort of give people the wrong idea about formations, for example, or but I checked the formation matrix and my rock paper should have beaten this.
They're not trying hard enough for anything.
Yeah, well, you can look at it if you want to.
They might make them feel they have to try harder and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I guess you should be able to play it as easily or as hard as you want to.
Yeah. Right. Before we wrap things up, gents, do either of you have any final points you would like to make?
No.
I think I'd obviously encourage people to check out the Reddit.
I will leave it in the show notes, the YouTube, the Spotify, so people can have a look. And
if people are interested in kind of my project, I guess check out my X because I do document everything on there.
Which is at $MFL.
Don't bother following mine. I'm the opposite. I document nothing. If you want to see pure chaos, just look at my agency. But other than that, I'd say subscribe to Dirk on Twitch.
Oh my man! Oh, subscribe, bloody hell,
Let's
mate!
get more common reward packs given away.
Bloody hell, man! There we go. This man, because we create half his clubs through him winning the quizzes all the time. That's that's Nathan's kept it quiet about with his cheat sheet he's got there. No, but before we wrap up, guys, I want to say a big thank you to both of you for coming on today. Thank you, Paul.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Nathan.
You're welcome. It's been an honor. I've often answered all the questions on my way into work. I'm just sitting there and driving away. I'm like, "Ooh, what would I have said this?"
Well, now on the way,
actually answer them to someone else.
Well, now on the way to work, you can answer them again and be like, "Why did I say that? Why was my answer that?" Or like most people, you probably won't. Like most people, you'll skip this week because you won't dare listen to yourself, which usually what happens.
It's going to be a tough debate. It's going to be quite a cringe-filled ride into work.
Yeah.
Some expletives, I assume.
So, a big thank you to Paul and Nathan for jumping on today. Remember the hashtags, folks. Good luck for the remaining games of the season. Good luck on the cup finals for those involved and the final match then Wednesday. I should be streaming both Tuesday and Wednesday, so be there or lose your games, basically. And if you get into the playoffs, then good luck for the playoffs on the weekend as well. But without further
Rewards Day.
Yes, and rewards day on Thursday. Yes, get to rip them packs.
They all get good packs.
Yes. Well, I hope everyone gets bad packs, apart from me that gets good packs. All of you that get good packs.
Hit me up.
Yeah. Any Irishmen? Any Welsh clubs? I guess Paul then come to you. Any Welsh players? Any preference Welsh players? As long as they're $1,
for $1,
I don't mind. Yeah.
I was going to do the Welsh players thing, but there's just not enough there for a full agency. But seeing how Harry trades, actually, going to give him a plug. Yeah. He's doing a full Welsh squad with his Cardiff license. That's going to be good. So if you've got any good Welsh players, make sure you get them in.
Yeah,
I'll be able to do like maybe 2 Irish squads next season. They might not be good, but I now have enough of them where I can do it.
Just seeing all the flags there is pretty, isn't it? But right, let's wrap things up there. Thank you all so very much for tuning in, and we'll catch you this time next week episode of the DollarClub. Thank you for listening.